Week 5 of the 2020 college football season is wrapped up. We are headed into week number 6. And as we always do today, I'm going to be going over my updated rankings for week number 6. And of course, week 5 was an insane week. We saw 10 AP top 25 teams fall. We saw lots of major upsets. We also saw a few teams definitely on the rise right now. I mean, we've seen a couple of teams such as Tennessee and Miami really rise up to the occasion and play really well. And today I'm going to be going over once again my updated rankings as well as a bit of a recap on week number 5 because of how crazy of a week it was. And let me just say right off the bat as well, this is definitely the hardest set of rankings I've ever had to make in my 3 years of doing this. So let me just say that right off the bat. I mean, there's a lot of different teams and there's a lot of teams that could be at many different positions at this point. Like Miami, I've seen some polls where they're at like 19 or 20 right now, and then I've seen others where they're at 5. So I mean, all around, it's just really it's just a crazy week right now for sure. I mean, this season in general has just been insane. But yeah, once again, today we're just going to be going over my updated rankings. And if you disagree with anything here, be sure to just let me know in the comments below. I'd be down to respond to what you guys think, because once again, after a week like week 5, there's going to be a lot of different opinions. So once again, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. That being said, though, let's look at your first set, and this is going to be 1 through 7. Alabama is moving up this week to number 1. Of course, Clemson was at number 1 before, but they're moving down. Clemson over the past couple of the games hasn't done as good as expected. I mean, they allowed 23 to Virginia, and they only scored 41. I mean, that was an 18-point game, which I think Clemson definitely should have beaten off Virginia by much of that, or by much more than that. But in the end, Clemson, they got the win there. They're 2-0. And Alabama in general, they completely destroyed Texas A&M 52-24. That was an excellent win there. So all around, Alabama, once again, I think is a better team than Clemson, mainly because they were able to beat Texas A&M as much as they did. Like Texas A&M with Kellen Mond at quarterback, they're a very good team this season. I think Texas A&M is a top 15 team, and so for Alabama to beat them like they did, that was a very good win there for Alabama. You also had Georgia, who completely annihilated Auburn 27-6. Huge win for them there. They're at 2-0 now, and they're moving up 2 this week. They were at 5 in week number 5, but this week they're going to be at week 3, or they're going to be at number 3. Ohio State's moving down to number 4. Obviously, they didn't do anything to warrant that, but it's just that Georgia played really well, so I think that they deserve to go ahead of Ohio State, at least for this week. Number 5 is going to be Florida, and they beat South Carolina 38-24. They're sitting at 2-0 as well. They moved down 1 after last week. Georgia moves in front of them because, I mean, all around, Georgia, they had a much better win this week than Florida did. I mean, Florida, they beat South Carolina 38-24, so that was a good win there. But Georgia completely destroyed Auburn once again. So I think that's a much better win than Florida in this situation. Number 6 is going to be Miami. They had a bye this week, but they're going to be at 3-0 right now. I mean, they've had 3 really good wins so far. Obviously, they played a couple of weeks ago, and they played really well. So I think Miami in general is a top 10 team right now. And I'm putting them at number 6 because of how many upsets we saw last week. Once again, we saw several top 15 teams in general take big upset losses. So I think Miami in general definitely does deserve a spot at number 6, and they're looking really good right now. Watch out for Miami in the ACC. I mean, honestly, this year, the ACC is much better than the Big 12. You actually got 3 pretty good teams in the ACC. You got Clemson, you got Miami, and Notre Dame, which you actually have 3 ACC teams in your top 7 right now. That is the same amount as the SEC. Something to note there. The ACC is actually looking really good this year, something that I think everyone should be aware of. Notre Dame's also sitting at 2-0. They had a bye last week, but they're moving up 5, considering once again how many losses that we did, or how many upsets that we did see last week. But it'll be interesting to see how Miami and Notre Dame do, considering they're going to be getting a lot more attention. I mean, Miami this week, they've got Clemson in week number 6. That's going to be a major game there, a top 10 matchup, and so that's going to be a huge test for Miami just to see where they're at and whether Miami is a real legit national contender. And then you got Clemson, of course, trying to keep their hopes alive, because if they lose to Miami here, that could be an extremely detrimental loss to their chances of possibly making it into the college football playoffs. So just a crazy situation right now going on in the top 10 right now in college football. Looking at your 8 through 14, we got Penn State and Wisconsin, of course, just sitting there. Your 2 Big 10 teams that are looking pretty good. But, of course, they haven't played a single game yet, so they're just kind of standing there on standby until they can finally start their seasons. But then we got Tennessee. They beat Missouri 35-12. Great win there. They're moving up 8 this week, and it sounds crazy, but I think Tennessee is a legit team this season. I mean, they've only played 2 games. They're 2-0, but, I mean, they've beaten up both their teams so far, and they beat Missouri pretty easily last week, 35-12. So Yeah, Tennessee's looking pretty good. Watch out for them in that SEC East. I mean, you got Florida and Georgia in there, but Tennessee, they could give Florida and Georgia some problems, I think, later on in the season. So watch out for them. But yeah, Tennessee is an extremely underrated team right now, I think. They're definitely someone to watch out for. Also got North Carolina. They beat Boston College 26-22. And I definitely would move North Carolina into the top 10. Obviously, the AP poll has got them at number 8, I think, for this week. But the reason why I don't have them in my top 10 is because Boston College, like a 26-22 win, that's only a 4-point win over a team like Boston College, which a win's a win. I do understand that. But, I mean, if you're only going to beat Boston College by 4, I don't think that North Carolina is better than Penn State or Wisconsin. Like, if you had Penn State, Wisconsin, or Tennessee play Boston College, I can guarantee that each one of those teams would at least beat them by a good 15-20. So, yeah, for North Carolina, that's not a very good win there, so I'm only moving them up 3. You got Auburn that's moving down 6 after their blowout loss to Georgia. They lost 6-27 once again. They're sitting at 1-1. And they got LSU staying at the same position after their win against Vanderbilt. And, of course, in the AP poll, they were at 20 last week. So they're definitely going to be moving up this week. But for LSU, I actually had them pretty high in my rankings in comparison to, say, the USA Today polls, the coaches' polls, etc. So, yeah, LSU, they're going to be sitting at 13 once again this week. And if they get another win coming up, you can expect LSU to possibly be in the top 10. But as far as it goes for Texas A&M, they're going to be moving below LSU. They took, once again, a big loss to Alabama, 24-52. They're moving down 6, and they're also sitting at 1-1. So you've got 3 SEC teams there, or 4 SEC teams there within your 10-14. So you've got a lot of SEC teams just kind of sitting on the outside there right now. As far as it goes for your 15 through 21, at 15 we've got Oklahoma State, and they blew out Kansas 47-7. They're moving up 7 this week. I think Oklahoma State is number 10 in the AP poll as well. So I mean, yeah, I mean you got to consider that they did beat. But the thing is though, Kansas is Kansas. I mean, you definitely should get a blowout win there no matter what. But I mean, it's not all that great of a win. It's Kansas. Like if that was, say, Kansas State, maybe I'd consider Oklahoma State to maybe be more of a threat. But like once again, Kansas is a team that's probably going to go winless this season, so that's not a very good win. But at least you still, once again, you did beat them by 40, but still, I'll stick to my word. Kansas is Kansas. But yeah, they're 3-0. They move up 7 this week, so moving up 7 is pretty good. So watch out for Oklahoma State. But then you got Cincinnati at 16. They beat South Florida 20-7. Good win. And then you also got BYU. BYU is a team that's kind of on the outside here, not getting much respect, and I think they definitely should be getting more respect. They beat off Louisiana Tech 45-14. They're 3-0, and they've blown out all 3 of their opponents so far. BYU is a team to watch out for, I think. I mean, sitting at 3-0 once again with 3 blowout wins under their belt. They're looking pretty good right now, so watch out for BYU. 18, we've got Texas. They took a loss to TCU. That was a big upset yesterday. 31-33 was the loss there. And they're moving down 11. They're actually, I think, moving down the most in the poll this week. So they're down to 18 now. They're sitting at 2-1. Then you got Minnesota and Michigan. Both of those teams are actually moving up 4 this week, and they're kind of similar to Wisconsin and Penn State in the fact where I'm just kind of sitting them on standby for now until they're able to start playing. But yeah, they're moving up this week because I mainly think that they're better than the teams that are going to follow them. But yeah, SMU's coming in at 21. They're entering the rankings this week. They beat Memphis 30-27. They're sitting at 4-0. And as far as it goes for your 22 through 25, you got Virginia Tech at 22, UCF 23, Iowa State 24, and then Memphis 25. One thing that you will notice here is that Oklahoma is not in the rankings this week. I did consider putting them in possibly at 25 just to give them one more chance, but I don't think that they deserve it. They're sitting at 1-2, and that'd be a losing record team in the top 25, so I'm not going to let that happen. But yeah, Virginia Tech, they're looking pretty good right now. They're sitting at 2-0. They got a win against Duke 38-31, which Duke is actually 0-4 right now, so you probably should have beat Duke by more than just a touchdown, but still, it's a good win there. At 23, we got UCF, and they lost to Tulsa this week, 26-34. Also a huge upset there, and they're moving down 7 after that loss. Obviously, UCF was looking like possibly a national contender after their first couple of wins, and to lose to Tulsa, I mean, yeah, once again, week 5 was just a crazy week of college football action, and UCF in general, I mean, once again, that's a team that I thought would easily be your champion of the American Athletic. But after a loss to Tulsa like that, it does concern me a bit for UCF. Number 24 is going to be Iowa State, and they're sitting at 2-1. Obviously, they had a blowout loss to Louisiana in week number 1, but I mean, they beat Oklahoma 37-30. So that was an excellent win there. Obviously, Oklahoma doesn't look very good this season, but Iowa State still, it's a win against Oklahoma, which was a highly ranked team. And they also, I believe, they beat another team. I forget who it was, but they also had a good win there. And I think it was TCU. Yeah, they beat TCU, which TCU just beat Texas. So all around, yeah, that TCU win looks much better now that TCU beat Texas. So Iowa State sitting at 2-1, looking pretty good. Memphis is at 25. They're just going to be on the edge of the rankings, and they lost to SMU 27-30. They were announced 6th this week, and they're also at 1-1. Which SMU, I mean, yeah, they've kind of been on the outside for the first parts of the season so far. We haven't actually seen them hardly in the rankings yet, which I'm sure they're going to be in the rankings this week, but. Yeah, SMU 27-30. That was a big loss there for Memphis. They're just going to sit at 25 for now. First 5 out, you got Iowa at 26, Kansas State 27, Oklahoma at 28, Louisiana at 29, and then lastly, Army's going to be at 30, which once again, if you're wondering why I don't have Louisiana in my rankings, the main reason for that is because if you look at Louisiana's past couple of games, they've had close calls to 2 extremely subpar teams, with those being Georgia State and Georgia Southern. You can't be having close games and close wins to Georgia Southern and Georgia State to get respect from me. I mean, yeah, they're undefeated. I do understand that. They're sitting at 3-0, and they also have won at Iowa State. However, I mean, once again, if you have close games to Georgia State and Georgia Southern, 2 teams that Alabama would probably absolutely destroy, I just don't think that Louisiana deserves to be in the top 25 for that. So unless Louisiana starts blowing out all of their opponents, I don't really think that they're deserving of a top 25 position, but still, yes, they are a decent team this season. Army's at 30, though, so Army's kind of on the outside there. And then I decided to put Oklahoma in your first 5 out, but they're just behind Kansas State, mainly because, once again, we did see Kansas State beat Oklahoma just a couple of weeks ago. For the teams that dropped out, once again, Oklahoma was ranked 15th last week. They are out. Mississippi State was 17. They lost to Arkansas, so they're out. And then lastly, Pittsburgh, they were sitting at 25 last week. They're also out after losing to NC State. So that being said, that wraps up my college football rankings for week number 6. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this. Once again, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you guys that are going to be disagreeing with this. So before you slap a dislike on this video and start hating on me for everything, I'd like to hear your thoughts and comments below. I'll try to get back to as many of your responses as I possibly can. And yeah, I'd like to hear once again your thoughts on that. It's kind of fun just looking at your guys' responses and seeing what you guys think, because obviously there are a ton of different perspectives here. And I'm sure there's going to be a ton of different thoughts about this bowl because of how crazy of a week 5 was. Once again, I think we saw 10 or 11 AP top 25 teams from last week that fell. So it was, yeah, all around just a crazy week of action. So yeah, once again, I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you all later.